Hello, and welcome to H&R Block's tutorial on how to complete a U.S. tax return as a visiting au pair. This video is designed to provide a demo of what tax forms you need to complete. To start off, I would just like to clarify that this video and demonstration is intended for educational purposes only and may not cover all tax situations that affect your tax return. Because each tax situation is different, we recommend you engage a qualified tax professional to help complete your tax return if you are unsure about your particular situation. Before covering how to complete your tax return, there are a few topics we should cover so that you have a better understanding of how you need to prepare your return. First, we will go over general tax residency rules as a J-1 visa holder, what is considered income that you may need to report, and your tax filing requirements as an au pair. Then we will get into how you actually prepare your return, where to file it, and how to actually pay your taxes. As you may know, visiting au pairs obtain a J-1 visa with a 1-year renewable term limit by completing Form DS 2019 with the assistance of their program sponsor. This is important as J-1 visa holders hold a special residency exemption for the first 2 calendar years within the U.S., meaning that you are considered a non-resident taxpayer for those 2 years. As you will see shortly, this distinguishment will be important for how you complete your tax return and what income is included on it. If this is your 3rd calendar year on a J-1 visa, or if you have been in the U.S. previously on an F-1 student visa, it is highly advised that you seek professional tax preparation services as your situation will be unique and not representative of this demo. So you may be asking yourself, what income do I need to report? While the definition of income for U.S. taxes can be complex and include numerous sources, we will cover the most common forms of income au pairs such as yourself receive. As a non-resident taxpayer, you only have to report income earned while in the U.S., so any income you earned before or after you were in the U.S. does not need to be claimed. The most common form of income au pairs earn is weekly stipends. Typically, these are a fixed amount, and this amount is determined by which program you are in. $195.75 is the typical weekly au pair stipend that is paid. To figure out how much stipend income you earned, it is advised that you either track the amount somewhere, or you can simply multiply the number of weeks you received a stipend by your weekly amount. So for instance, if you provided au pair services for 21 weeks in 2019 and are paid the typical stipend amount, you would have earned $4,111 by the end of the year. You would also need to add any bonus pay your host family pays you to this amount to figure your reportable income. Items that are not considered income and do not need to be claimed on your tax return include your room and board, schooling payments, and any gifts you may receive from your host family. You are required to file a U.S. tax return if you are paid any stipend income during the 2019 calendar year. To report this income, you need to obtain a 1040 NREZ tax form. This is the form that is used by non-resident taxpayers. It is very important that you use one of the NR forms and not the typical 1040 tax form. So let's take a closer look at that tax form and how to report your income. By this time, you should have figured out your total amount of reportable income. This amount will go on the dotted lines next to line 3 on this form with the letters HSH in front of it. This is to indicate that the income was from household service income that was not reported on a tax form. Let's go ahead and enter that now, and then we'll jump back up to the personal information and complete that. Okay, so now that we have the income down, you will need to complete the top area. You need to report your name and social security number as exactly as it appears on your social security card. If you have not obtained this card yet, get with your program sponsor to obtain one as you're unable to file a tax return until you do so. Next, complete the address you currently live at. If it's a foreign address, complete the bottom lines for country and postal code. Lastly, you'll want to indicate your marital status. Now let's get back to calculating your tax. The first thing you will want to do is record the amount you reported next to line 3 directly on lines 7 and 10. This should report your total income earned this year. For anyone who had to file a tax return in 2018 and who also had to pay tax to a state, you can record the amount of tax you pay to that state on line 11. Otherwise, skip line 11 and enter the amount from line 10 on line 14. If you do have an amount to report on line 11, subtract that amount from line 10 and enter it on line 14. Now we have to jump over to the form instructions to figure the tax amount out. So make sure you remember the amount from line 14 as you're going to need it to figure it out for the tax tables. In my sample, this au pair earned $7,200 in stipend income during 2019. You will want to go to page 24 of the instructions to find the tax tables. I'll take a sec to flip back to the page right now. Alright, now that we're here, what you are looking for is the tax amount next to your income. So you can see these amounts are in increments. So find the one where the amount from line 14 falls under. For me, that is the 7,200 to 7,250 field, and you can see to the right of it that the tax amount is $723. That's roughly 10% of the amount I've earned, so that makes sense. I want to enter that tax amount on lines 15 and 17 of the tax form. Assuming you did not prepay tax amounts or receive a W-2, also enter 0 on line 21 and re-enter that tax amount on line 25. Before going to page 2, let's go ahead and sign and date this tax return where it says sign here at the bottom. You can list your occupation as au pair. On page 2, you will need to complete some basic information. It may look confusing, but let's walk through it together. For lines A and B, you are typically going to report your home country. Lines C and D will be answered no unless you have taken steps to obtain a personal resident visa card, also called a green card. For line E, you will want to enter J1 if you were still in the US at the end of 2019, or none if you left the US prior to the end of the year. Line F is typically going to be no unless you have had another type of non-tourist visa, like a student visa we talked about before. And then you're going to skip down to line H and enter the number of days you were in the US in each of the prior 3 years. If you were only present in 2019, enter zeros for the other years, and it is okay to estimate here if you do not know the exact number of days. The last item to complete is line I. You'll answer it no, as this is your first time, or if it is your first time filing, or yes if you filed last year. In that case, you'll want to enter 1040 NR as the form you filed. You have now completed your tax return. There is just one more form to complete before packaging it all up and mailing it out. As an exempt J1 visa holder, you should complete Form 8843. Let's walk through this form real quick. It shouldn't take long. All you need to do at the top of the page is enter your name and SSN the same you did on the tax return. You do not have to enter your address. Then you will skip ahead and enter the number of days you were in the US in 2019 on line 4B. You can leave the other lines blank. Next, skip to line 6 and enter the details of your program sponsor as reported to you on your DS 2019. If you do not have all the info it is asking for, just complete it the best you can. Lastly, you will complete lines 7 and 8 and skip to the bottom of page 2 to again sign and date the form. Alright, now you are ready to file the returns. Assemble all 4 pages together with the 1040 NREZ on top. Do not staple the pages together, but you can use a paperclip if you wish. Once assembled, you will want to mail the forms to one of these 2 addresses. If paying online, you will mail the forms to Austin. If you're going to include a check with the return, you will mail it to Charlotte. Lastly, you will need to pay your tax. There are really 3 ways you can pay the tax you owe. Paying online is definitely preferred to paying by check. And the easiest way to pay online is by using a credit or debit card. You can pay by direct pay from a U.S. bank account, but a lot of times you will be unable to do this until the return is processed, which may take some time. So it's advised to do the credit or debit option if you can. The third method is including a check with the tax return. If you do this, make sure you include this information that I have here at the bottom on that check. Thank you for following along with me on this video. I hope it helps to make your U.S. tax filing experience a lot easier. I'm including a couple helpful resources in case you need more information related to au pair tax filing. Again, thank you very much and have a great day.